Yo boys, FaZe Doritos here. Decided to do a video today reviewing the patch notes for Affliction in the next patch. I'm actually so hyped that they're finally giving us something new to work with our class. And boys, I got like a new hairstyle going on. I don't know what's going on. I decided to tie my hair today. I guess it looks better with the beard, but at the same time, I was just waking up, my hair was in my face, it was tilting me, so I just tied that shit up. Anyways, back to the video. So let's focus on Affliction Warlock right now. And the first thing that I see that's very important to us that we're going to care about is Inquisitor's Gaze damage going from 2.8k to around 3.2 to like 7k damage per tick. So this buff is actually kind of substantial. We're going to have a little bit more passive damage. And then the next buff is this buff here. Shadow Bolt, Drain Soul, Incinerate. They're not very clear about which one's what. I don't know if it's the 8 to 15% or if it's the 5 to 10%. But whichever one it is, it's still around a 15 to 10% buff to Drain Soul, which is what we want. We don't care about Shadow Bolt. Never play Shadow Bolt. It's a waste. But Drain Soul pumps like crazy already, right? So this buff is going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen in the patch notes. It looks like we're just getting a lot of direct damage. We look at Agony. It looks like if these are in order, Agony is getting a 15% buff after you take this talent, which is, we love these 15% buffs, It's not necessarily the things that, a dot damage buff is what we need, actually. But this Drain Soul buff is not what we need, but, I'll take anything we can get at this point, So, Accured Vitality being moved, the Desperate Pact being removed. Where is it? Desperate Pact being removed from the class tree is actually a big deal, because that's 30% of our healing when we're below 50% health. So, this being removed, and to be more descriptive, Desperate Pact is the talent that allows your Drain Life to heal 30% more when you're below 50% health. So this being removed is going to greatly change the way our class is played. Honestly, we're going to have to do a lot more damage. It's going to be harder to survive because our Drain Life isn't going to be as insane. But I think we can live with it if we have enough damage with the buffs here. So let's go down the tree here, and we're going to Dread Touch. Everything else, by the way, is kind of irrelevant. I'll quickly briefly go over it. So the Horrify talent, your fear causes a target to tremble in place instead of fleeing in fear. This one's irrelevant. You will never play this because if fear stands still, it just kind of defeats the purpose of the talent of the whole ability. The whole ability with, if it's causing the target to just stand still, sometimes you want them to stand still, but in most situations you want them to flee in a direction that puts them in a worse location. So trembling in fear, not a good idea. And Gorfian's Resolve, that's just a talent that was never used because it relied on Soulstone, and as we know, you can't use Soulstone in Arena, and they're removing it from the tree. So we're going to have to see what they do with this, how the tree is going to look when it comes out, and we'll move from there. I'll give you guys a build video in the future with the updated talent tree after this comes out. So let's go down to Dread Touch. Dread Touch now lasts 8 seconds instead of 6. This is a good change. But at the same time, Dread Touch is still bad. I do not think Dread Touch is good because Doom Blossom is passive damage after you have Malefic Affliction stacked to 3. With Dread Touch, you have to cast another Malefic Rapture in order to get the buff, which is not good. If you have to do that, then you have to have more upkeep. More upkeep on your damage means less time you're using to press fear, to try to get your team the win condition that it needs. And the problem with that is, in Solo Shuffle, which is the biggest bracket right now, in Solo Shuffle, you need to be able to press fear to win a game because people are going to die before you reach your win condition. Affliction's win condition is killing people in dampening, right? But if other classes do your job better, you have to find other ways to win the game. And this ties into Dread Touch in a way where if you have to cast more damage spells, you're not pressing fear. And if I'm not pressing fear, I'm not peeling for a go. I'm not setting up a go, which just makes it a lot harder to win the game. So let's scroll down here. And the Dark Lair redesign, the only thing that matters here is this, which I highlighted in blue here. So this used to be 15%, now it's going to be 25%. More direct damage buffs. More direct damage buffs, always good. Always good, right? But there's still a core problem here, and I don't think they're addressing it. It's our dots don't do enough damage. We have too many buttons to press to upkeep damage, And this just like kind of buffs what's there and, you know, makes the class better, but it's not necessarily addressing the issue. But, you know, looking at this, Dark Lair is still going to be pumping crazy damage, and that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see how much 25% is over 15. We'll see. And this talent being removed from the talent tree, they should have done this a long time ago. This talent, basically, what does it do? It makes your corruption instant cast, and it deals a bit more damage. So this should have always been baseline, in my opinion. I'm happy they decided to change this. Harvester of Souls. So this talent does 1% of my damage. This talent is really bad, so I'm glad they removed it from the game. It's either remove it from the game or buff it. I don't like passive damage because you don't have to do anything to make it happen. But, you know, removing it from the game, in my opinion, a good idea. Writhe in Agony has been moved to row 3 of the Affliction talent tree and is now a rank 1 talent. This is good because now we're going to be able to put talents into other things that are going to make us do more damage, you know, make us more scary, and make this more of something that we just put one talent in and there you go, you get your Agony buff, which in my opinion, this should have been another passive. Okay, so this new talent, another buff to Drain Soul. I don't know what Blizzard's thinking here, but, you know, we're going to do the most cracked amount of single target pressure with Drain Soul. I cannot wait to see this. And let's see this last talent here that we're getting, this last new talent. Malefic Rapture damage and Seed of Corruption damage increased by 8 to 15%. So my Rapture is getting another 15% buff to its damage. We already got a 30% buff with, what's it called? Let me go back in game real quick and show you the ability. Focus Malignancy, which basically allows my Malefic Rapture to deal 30% more damage to any target with UA on it. So we already have a Malefic Rapture buff there. And then if you go to our tier set, our 4 set also does the same shit. Where it's like Cruel Inspiration grants 2 charges, up to 5. Each charge increases the damage of your Malefic Rapture by 40%. And you get crazy procs in Arena. Like, you get procs all the time. So we have a 40% from the tier set. We have a 30% from the talent. And now we have another 15% from this new talent they're adding. So your Raptures are going to be hitting over 100k when you have your full dot rotation on something and you're pumping. That's going to be very interesting to see. And there's more incentive now to press Drain Soul. And as we all know, when you Drain Soul a target, you get a Malefic Rapture proc. So those procs are going to be hitting a lot harder than they were before. So who knows? This might make UA Lock a lot more viable. But in my opinion, the biggest issue with UA Lock is actually just making sure your dots are even on the target. Like, to get to this stage where you're able to Malefic Rapture, you have to do so much prerequisites. You have to put full dots on like 2 targets, and then you have to start pressing Drain Soul. Not to mention, your team might already be dying, right? And then you have to be like, okay, fuck everything that is about doing damage and start pressing Fear, because your team is dying. So I can see this being strong if you're able to free cast. But again, I said it, Chanimal said it, other Warlocks have said it. Affliction is an S tier caster if it's allowed to cast. We do more damage than any other caster right now in the game if I'm able to free cast. Nobody does more damage than me. But the problem is, if you're not able to free cast, if your team is dying, you have to switch gears. You have to be like, okay, I'm not going to do damage here, and I'm going to press Fear instead. Or you're getting trained, so every global you're using is to survive and run away. And now it's like when you're pedaling a bike and you're going up a hill. And the entire time it feels like you're going up the hill. And it's just like you have to keep upkeep. You're just constantly exhausted. And you can't breathe in a sense because you ran out of globals. So I'm curious to see if this is going to do anything for the class. I think it doesn't solve core issues with the class. But, you know, buffs are buffs, and, you know, it's going to make your experience as an Affliction Warlock a lot more enjoyable because you'll do more damage when they're not on you. And, of course, you'll do more when they're on you if you're able to fake a kick, and you can Drain Soul. But we'll see. And in my opinion, though, like the last but not least, the changes here are kind of telling me that these are just, like, PvE changes. I think because in PvE, Affliction is struggling, Blizzard's trying to find a way to make Affliction feel better in the game right now. They're trying to find a way to give them more damage in PvE. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see, boys. We're going to have to wait and see what these changes do. I will come out with a build video, and I'm going to show you guys like what I'm going to pick and show you some gameplay footage as well with the new changes. But until then, guys, good luck out there. Everybody's climbing solo shuffle. They're getting better. Everybody's telling me they're actually getting better off my videos, which is making me happy. I'm going to continue to make these videos. Thanks everybody for watching. All right, peace, boys.